Hello, everyone, and welcome to January 2022's Drawing Together, which we did a couple of weeks ago, but we didn't manage to put the recording button on at the beginning. So I'm re-recording it. I'm Dana Walrath. I'm very happy to be here with you recording, but very sad that all your beautiful faces aren't here with me because it's so good always to see all of you and to be together in community. Today, what our focus is going to be is waves. And I picked waves because waves are one of those things that have come to take on a very particular meaning over the course of the past couple of years. And here's the meaning that we all know far too well. And what I want to do is bring us back to looking at waves in different ways. And this is sort of in the spirit that has kept me going throughout the pandemic. The idea that instead of COVID just being this thing that's trapping us, COVID is actually Mother Nature trying to talk to us, trying to get us to understand how out of balance we are, how connected we are, and how we just need to start doing things in a completely different way in order to get ourselves back into balance. So once we think of the pandemic as teacher, then we can start reimagining, remember, put our members back to our bodies and reimagine and return to life when it was in balance. And I don't mean in 2019, I mean 10,000 years ago, before we started having civilizations and started hoarding and all those things that set us on the path that we're on today. So waves have been around a really long time. Life started in the ocean, waves are set there. And for me, that's what waves always mean. When I was a kid and we went to the beach, I literally had to be dragged out at the end of the day. It was just my favorite thing in the world to do when I was to play with waves. And that carried into adulthood, because the minute I finished my doctorate in anthropology, and I did it as an older student with 3 young children in tow, I bought myself a surfboard as a present. And at that time, there weren't a lot of women surfing, and I didn't have a place to go get surfing lessons, but I knew someone, another PhD kind of a person who was a surfer, and he gave me a lesson over the phone. He explained, you watch the waves, you put your board in it, and then when you feel that you've caught it, you just get up with alacrity. And that's what I started to learn how to do. And it was so wonderful, because there I was, this older woman, I was a lot younger then. I was a mom. I had 3 kids playing on the beach while I was out there surfing. And this gave permission for lots of other people, other women, to get back to surfing. And now that's a very, everybody's surf beach. Through surfing, I learned about my power, my internal power. I also learned, without a doubt, about abundance. Think about it. So many of us are living in a state of shortage. There's not going to be enough. There's never enough time. Late stage capitalism has all of us working as hard as we possibly can. And I was always trying to squeeze in my family, my doctorate work, my artwork, and all these things into whatever limited amounts of time that I have. But with surfing, I was out there, and if I missed a wave, well, lo and behold, another wave would just come. And it let me relax and start embracing a mentality of abundance, that there's always going to be another wave. And obviously waves vary from day to day, but the principle is that there are always more waves. And it's also a time that you let go, because we can't really control what the waves are doing. We just have to learn to integrate with what they're offering. And they're always offering us so much. Waves also taught me to think about space and time very differently. It's not just that abundance. It's the time, the way time works when you're surfing, is that when you catch a wave, time bends. It literally slows down. We're all accustomed to time slowing down, like during an accident. That's usually a bad thing. But when you're about to catch a wave, when you're catching that wave, it's slowing down and it's joyous and it's amazing. And you feel this kind of buzzing thing. And then your surfboard levitates and then you stand up with alacrity, like my friend said. And then there you are surfing. Space too, you're always connected. You're connected to other places. For me, standing at the edge of the Atlantic Ocean in the United States, I could think across that ocean through the Mediterranean Sea to historic Armenia, where my grandparents were born. When I lived in Ireland a couple of years ago, I could stand on its western shores and look back over to the US. The ocean connects all of us. There are no boundaries there. So space and time are both connected. But sometimes space and time get cut off from one another. And usually that's because of finances. When my grandfather Yeriche died, we were living in Brazil and we couldn't get back for the funeral. And that caused different kinds of heartbreak. And then, of course, if we're thinking about the ocean, we have to bring in the history of what has happened in the ocean through settler colonialism, which has dominated the world over the past 500 or so years and set so much of today's injustice into motion. Now, all of these waves that I used in these examples as an ocean lover, as a Pisces, were certain kinds of waves, ocean waves, but there's so many other kinds of waves. I mean, they're waves. We waved to each other a couple of weeks ago when we all joined drawing together. Then there's the wave of the Queen. And then they're my favorite waves here, these guys. Sound waves that come together and blend and become something more than either of them was alone. Just the same way if you drop a stone into water, those ripples touch each other and connect and create new patterns. So what we're going to do today is start by drawing waves. Take a blank piece of paper and literally, we're going to be drawing waves across it like this, but we're going to be drawing them at first in response to words that I want you to embody in whatever the waves are there. I mean, if the wind is whipping furiously, waves look very different from a very, very still day. But I'm going to use very human words to get you going on your waves. And you'll have, 8 to 10 seconds with each one of these words. So first, please draw me angry waves. How about loving waves? How about tired waves? Flirtatious waves? Anxious waves? Greedy waves? Hungry waves? Connected waves? Gentle waves? And I might have said this already, but your last wave will be joyous waves, because you can never have too much joy. Okay, so now what we're going to do is take a couple of minutes to turn these waves into characters. They each have a personality. And since I've already seen the magic that the people in the session that time did with it, I know you're going to have a lot of fun with this. MK had the most wonderful soundtrack that week, but since I'm recording it alone, I'm going to offer instead a wonderful song by Joy Harjo, our current poet laureate. And I learned during the course of the pandemic that she is also an amazing musician. And this is from her album, This Morning I Pray for My Enemies, the title song of that album. So draw away, make your waves into characters.
This morning I pray for my enemies. And whom do I call my enemy? An enemy must be worthy of engagement. I turn in the direction of the sun and keep walking. It's the heart that asks the question, not my furious mind. The heart is the smaller cousin of the sun. It sees and knows everything. It hears the gnashing, even as it hears the blessing. The door to the mind should only open from the heart. An enemy who gets in risks the danger of becoming a friend.
So that's Joy Harjo, our current US Poet Laureate, the first Native American to ever hold that position. She's Muskogee Creek. They renewed it during the pandemic. So she's been there as a guide for all of us during these times. So now take your waves, either your wave characters or some memory of some kind of wave that came to you from playing in the waves in our drawings over the past 20 or so minutes. You could either, go standard comic 4-panel format, or just draw a more freeform, loose wave picture. And MK, who knows, might put in that fantastic soundtrack that she had for us when we met a couple of weeks ago. And now I'll just sign off and say I'm really looking forward to seeing y'all at the end of February. It happens to be February 13th today, so I can say to all of you, happy Valentine's. love is abundant. And if we keep that going, it just keeps on giving and spreading and spreading.